What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, we're here. It's Switch 2 release week, and naturally, chaos has ensued, specifically around orders that people placed online and if they're still intact. Well, if you were caught up in the sweep of what seemed like cancellations, I also have some solutions, I guess, for launch day if you're looking to get a system, and we'll go over all of that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a certain tease heading into June with all of these big gaming events for a franchise that's been gone for a while and could be making a return or could be making a lot of people disappointed. Then we did get some additional details around that Black Panther game at EA and why it was canceled, as well as what they had planned exactly for it. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button or link in the description down below. And we're gonna start today with the Switch 2, specifically as part of the unboxing experience, if you will. When you get a chance to open the system up, of course, and open the box, see the system, there is something Nintendo wanted to make sure you are aware of, which we can see this is posted up. This is over on My Nintendo News, and Nintendo of Europe shared a post, a message about this, saying the screen is covered with a film layer designed to prevent fragments scattering in the event of damage. Do not peel it off. Now, if you have a Switch OLED right now, you actually have already experienced this, although you may not have noticed. If you look very closely at the edge around your screen, you'll notice something that looks like almost the end of the edge of a screen protector. That's very purposeful. That's there so that if it does shatter, and rather than fragments of glass or what have you, material coming out and cutting you, it'll just sort of be caught against this film, and that's sort of it. Now, the original Switch didn't have that, and that's because the front was like a plastic material. So in this case, if you say take off there's an initial plastic peel, of course, that you do. From there, you don't have to remove what looks almost like a welded on screen protector. Okay, it is merged to the screen, and it's not something that you're necessarily going to notice unless you really look for it. But in case you do, don't remove it. It is there for a reason. Also, there have been a lot of rumors and discussions around a remake for Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. And once again, we have another hint at this. Now, this was posted up in a message over on X, and this was from Pure Art as they were going over some of these Assassin's Creed statues and different accessories. And they kept hinting towards Black Flag and what could be going on there as they saw articles online. And they went on to say there will be something going on with Edward, that being Edward Kenway from Black Flag, and our PVC 1/8 scale anima statue will reflect that accordingly. Now, it makes sense that Pure Arts, who's making these statues that take quite a while to figure out, of course, logistically, would have knowledge that, hey, we should probably have a Black Flag statue of some kind ready to go, because there is indeed a remake that is coming, and we've kind of known about it for a while now, mostly from the different reports. So yeah, you're probably going to see something with a Black Flag remake here pretty soon. And we're trying to figure out if there's going to be a Ubisoft Forward here coming up, because there's another game we got to get to as well. Oh, and People Can Fly just can't seem to catch a break, as they did have to announce that more layoffs were ensuing, as well as canceled projects. This we can see over on VGC, where they say People Can Fly has canceled 2 unannounced games and signal there will be layoffs at the studio as a result of publisher disagreements. We have Project Gemini, that's an unannounced game, which was going to be published by Square Enix, along with a separate unannounced VR game that was referred to as Project Bifrost. These have both been canceled, and naturally, when you cancel large projects like this, you typically have to cut costs, or, well, people who are working on that don't have anything else to work on now, so they end up getting laid off. Now, at this time, People Can Fly are working on 2 games. We know Gears of War E-Day, as well as some unannounced PlayStation IP, and they made that announcement very loudly here recently, so they at least do have some stuff that they're working on, but it just seems like People Can Fly keep having projects canceled on them, or they're not collecting royalties for past projects. Hasn't been a great several years now, actually, for them. So here's hoping something like Gears of War E-Day or this PlayStation IP can kind of turn things around. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Switch 2, of course, launching this week, Wednesday night or Thursday morning if you're going by the store to pick it up, or you're waiting outside your house or inside looking out the window, waiting for the driver to drop it off, say, from Walmart, which was at the center of discussion over the weekend, as people were taking to social media saying that their orders were just being canceled. Specifically, Walmart was coming up a lot. I saw a few other retailers, but Walmart was like the big one. So, like, as an example, over on Reddit here, this post says, did anyone else's Switch 2 pre-order get canceled out of nowhere, and people started to come together and realize, oh wow, Walmart, it seems to be the main culprit here. And some were even just posted up on Walmart's subreddit in general. Now, some were saying that there may have been a glitch in their system that caused this. Some were wondering if they just over ordered, like they had just way more orders than they had in terms of like Switch 2 systems that they could actually ship out to people. And others were saying that there was some kind of payment processing issue. And look, this was going to happen either way because they charge as we get into the Switch 2 launch. So if it's tied to a card that was expired maybe, or didn't have enough funds behind it, then yes, the order is not going to go through and it would be canceled. Now, the thing that's interesting about Walmart, why I don't necessarily believe that it's all about they don't have enough stock, is because I keep seeing pictures not only pop up online, but being sent to me, like personally through like DMs, of just a bunch of Switch 2 showing up at different retail stores. And Walmart seems to be one of the main one that I keep getting sent. And you can kind of tell because one, the backdrop or background, it's like, oh, well, there's Walmart tags on that thing. So obviously this is at Walmart, but then there's just identifying information on some of these boxes. So many of these would get posted up even on places like Reddit or on X or different forums, and then they get deleted because it's identifying information, and you're not supposed to be posting images, of course, of stuff that's coming in that is street dated, like the Switch 2. But from what I can tell, many of these different retailers are going to have quite a bit of day one stock. So I was going around and looking. I know Jake Randall, great source for this. I'm sure he'll have updates as we get into probably the day before, because I think a lot of stuff will really be happening June 3rd when many of these different stores have received their shipments for the week and have an idea as to how many they'll have available. So going down the list here, if you did have your pre-order canceled at, say, Walmart or any of the others, we have Best Buy, Walmart, Target, GameStop, and Costco. They'll all have stock on day one, June 5th, okay? So GameStop, they'll be taking pre-orders June 4th, 3 p.m. at your local time, okay? And that'll be set up even for the midnight release. So I mean, it's not a bad idea to get there a bit early and kind of scope things out, see how many people are maybe waiting in line for that 3 p.m. Top of the hour to tick over to start doing these pre-orders. But I think GameStop's a good one just because the midnight release option is available. The other one, Best Buy. Apparently, they're just going to have extra consoles at midnight, as in if you get there early, yes, you may have to wait in line, but you'll be able to go apparently at midnight, pick the system up, even if you didn't pre-order it, say, online when they were doing all of that, and you'll be good to go. Target, they will have stock at open June 5th, but it's not a midnight release thing, so you'll want to get there earlier before they open, again, just to see what the line is like there. However, you'll be able to at least get stuff day one, June 5th, when the system releases. So I do think many of these places will get crushed and generally be a madhouse on release, but also midnight release timing. And I will say this, just based on a lot of the stock that seems to be flowing right now for the system, I think it will be mostly available, although it's still going to sell out, and I'm sure it will still be a difficult item to get in like the short term. Maybe as we go along and Nintendo's able to stock more and more systems for that eventual holiday rush, there'll be that in-between period, like September or something, where there'll just be some Switch 2s that are allocated to a Walmart and you just happen to see it and be there right time, right place. But for the most part, I think here in the next couple of weeks, very difficult to get. So definitely worth checking out if you had your pre-order canceled, any of these places, either for midnight release or at launch, and definitely tune in to people like Jake Randall, who should have updates as we go through the next 48 hours. Next up, let's talk about Ubisoft, who has the potential to show off a really cool game or just disappoint everyone completely. Again, actually. So let's talk about this post that definitely made the rounds online, because as you can see here, it's just Sam Fisher. Okay, so hashtag Splinter Cell, an image of Sam Fisher, a couple eyes, the mouth, no real explanation for this. However, it still garnered 1.5 million views. It was like one of the most liked tweets in quite some time now. And everyone's trying to figure out, okay, what's going on here? Well, we do know that there is a Splinter Cell remake that is in the works right now. Tom Henderson mentioned that it's looking very impressive from what he's seen. So that, I assume, is what this is referencing. However, they did pick an image, and I looked at this and said, hold on, this does look familiar, obviously, from that like PS2, Xbox era where they had those, those cutscenes that were like early 2000s CGI kind of stuff. That's what we had here. And after looking, this appears to be from Pandora Tomorrow. So I'm not sure why they picked that. Like, you feel like they would pick one from the first Splinter Cell. They can just get something from that, whether it's concept art or in-game screenshot that looks really, really good, maybe on an up-resed image. But okay, whatever. Look, it's a profile shot of Sam Fisher. So this is what I mean about there being a Ubisoft forward, okay? So we're hearing about Black Flag Remake. We're hearing that that on top of Splinter Cell here, that Prince of Persia: Sands of Time Remake is supposed to be releasing before the end of this fiscal year for Ubisoft, which would be like the end of March next year. So all this kind of adding up to me as they should have stuff to show for Ubisoft forward. There has not been one announced at this time, but it's all kind of lining up for that to happen, especially since Summer Game Fest, I noticed in their partners list, didn't have Ubisoft. So to me, that it all makes sense, and I would like to see the Splinter Cell remake because that's a franchise that Ubisoft shelved and only really got interested in when they needed to drop something into a cell phone game or a random collaboration with Ghost Recon, never to be seen again. So this should be a really cool reveal. Should be a really cool reveal. Ubisoft recently hasn't exactly been on the ball, so there is a level of skepticism that should be present here, but I'm hoping this is the time where they can really pull it off and sort of bring back Sam Fisher and Splinter Cell in a big way, because if this remake works, look, I know we're talking about like, oh, let's do remake after remake after remake. Look, Pandora Tomorrow, great game. Chaos Theory, great game. The recent track of Ubisoft, I wouldn't mind them leaning into that more so than trying to do some original stuff. Let's just get the franchise off and running again and use some of the older material we have that still holds up, actually. Just some tweaks here and there when it comes to visuals and some modernized controls. But let me just think of the idea of maybe Splinter Cell making an appearance here sometime in June. Summer Game Fest, Xbox show, maybe a Ubisoft forward. Next up, let's talk about some backlash that Activision and in turn Microsoft would be seeing. And that has to do with Call of Duty Warzone and Black Ops 6. And continuous monetization practices, of course, that we are coming to expect from these big budget games, with Call of Duty being at the forefront of this, especially when it comes to even in-game advertisements or weird celebrity collaborations that make no sense in the world of Call of Duty. That game has taken many left turns at this point, and who knows where they are at this time. But something people noticed is, yeah, you're getting advertisements even on your weapon loadout screen. Now, we can see this posted up. This is over on IGN. They have several examples of this with different images as well as reactions from parts of the community. But it says, following the launch of Season 4, adverts for weapon bundles can be seen in the build and weapon menus. These are unavoidable for players as they tinker with their loadouts. You can see it at the top, and I mean, the advertisements are for kind of pre-configured loadouts you can buy, so, okay, and skins. I mean, they're selling to their targeted audience. Here's the thing with this, okay? I get it in Warzone. Warzone is a free game. It's free to play. At that point, you should expect every trick in the book to hit you in the face, like right away when it comes to them trying to get money out of you. My hang up is with the premium priced Black Ops 6. All right, because you're paying full price for that. We believe at the end of this year, we'll probably be paying $80 for it. Microsoft's already told us that some of their games are going to $80. Call of Duty is the most expensive game they make at this point. So yeah, that's going to $80. So when you hear that and you're like, okay, now there's also an advertisement to then put more money in your weapon loadout, which is like, gosh, you can't escape it anywhere at that point, right? It's like you're trying to put your weapon together through different customized parts that you earn as you level up your weapons or your account or go through that battle pass you just spent $10 on, and they want to, of course, try to sell you on more stuff. Again, I get it for Warzone. It's the premium price stuff that just doesn't really sit right with me, and it seems like that's kind of a shared sentiment with, most of the community here. So I really do hope that Battlefield is able to provide some kind of competition here, because it's just been Call of Duty for years now at this point, kind of unabated at all in sort of that shooter space. I know there are other live service games like Fortnite or Apex Legends and stuff like that, but when it comes to that military, more realistic kind of arcade shooter, it's just nothing's really standing up to Call of Duty anymore. So yes, I do hope Battlefield's good, but then also it's like, oh yeah, that's EA. So they'll probably have adverts in their loadouts at some point too. And in our last bit of news, let's double back to that story around Cliffhanger Games shutting down and the Black Panther game that was in development being canceled at EA. Now, Jason Schreier did follow up on this story at Bloomberg and got some more details around exactly what was going on here, which we can see this post up over on his social media account, where he says, in the canceled game, the player would have taken control of heroes like T'Challa, Killmonger, and Shuri vying for the Black Panther mantle while fighting off Skrulls. It was an evolution of the Nemesis system from Shadow of Mordor by the leads who made that game. And it's interesting the way it's described here to where, yes, enemies that you've had previous encounters with will remember you and in some cases kind of change up their style or even equipment based on exactly how that fight went. He goes on to say EA executives grew frustrated with Black Panther's lack of progress, but Cliffhanger had just passed a milestone in March and was scaling up. Many of the people laid off this week had been hired in the last few weeks or months. Now, it seemed that this game had been 4 years in and was just about ready to leave pre-production. 4 years in pre-production is wild. I get why they would then be kind of annoyed at the lack of progress if you've been in pre-production that long. However, the thing that I'm sure many people are noticing by now, the Nemesis system isn't exactly something that's quick when it comes to development. And in this case, it seems like they were trying to emulate it probably close enough without getting themselves into legal trouble, because we know it is a patent that is held by WB and everything. So you can't just like one-to-one that, or even a little too close one-to-one, or you could find yourself in some hot water in the courtroom. So it's possible that they were trying to figure out ways around some of that, because if you're going to build a game around, or if you're going to build a Nemesis system and use it, the entire game basically has to be built around it. So they're trying to build their new age or new version of the Nemesis system, and I feel like that's probably what was taking the majority of their time. Although I do like the idea of you having these different characters sort of in that universe vying for the Black Panther mantle, and I guess just kind of this open world action adventure style game with Skrulls and running into different enemy encounters that are going to be different each time you play through the game. So there was a lot of potential there. Unfortunately, there seemed to be a lot of wasted time as well. And that's just kind of how it goes with a lot of these big AAA games. And it seemed that, okay, it took 4 years of pre-production. It's going to take another 4 years for this game to come out. This is an 8-year dev cycle, because then they're thinking, you know what? Might as well cut our losses while we're here then. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, Switch 2 launch week is here. Are you picking one up? 51% say yes. 49% say no. So, okay, yeah, basically 50-50 here. And look, there's a bunch of different reasons why you may not be getting a Switch 2 now. Some said in the comments, money. Some say, you know what, I'm waiting for, say, the next big mainline Zelda game. I think I'll be ready to go for that. Some are saying, hey, I still have a lot of Switch games I'm playing right now, and rather than try to fight off the early adopters and the big rush, maybe I'll wait till the holidays and see where we are then. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because Mario Kart is a fun game. It's a game that appeals to many people. I said this over the weekend during the podcast. I don't think it has the pull that a big 3D Zelda, like Breath of the Wild. I feel like if you put Mario Kart and Breath of the Wild up against each other, it's like, which one would be the better launch game to have if you want to pull in like the hardcore gamers and the big Switch gamers now? I think most people would not only pick Breath of the Wild to buy themselves, but I'll say, yeah, that's probably the one. Mario Kart, though, casts such a wide net. It's the obvious one to go with if you want to sell the most systems right away. So I understand why that was kind of the move, but I get it when people say, all right, the next big 3D Mario game, the next big new generation Pokemon launch, the next big 3D Zelda game, I'm there. Until then, I can hang back a little bit, wait, and see where we are maybe after this apparent direct that'll even be happening at some point this month. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Resh, who says, you should buy a giant magnet and do the magnet test with those key cards, as well as with regular cartridges to see what happens. I mean, that'd be quite interesting. Someone actually brought this up to me already. It's like, hey, you should get a key card, game key card, and just see what its tolerance is to different types of magnets. Like, put it up against the magnet on the side of the Joy-Con rail, right? And see if that's enough to scramble it and mess it up. And then eventually get to the point where you have a very strong magnet and just see if you can erase the thing and make it not function anymore. And technically then, yes, I would be destroying a game keycard on camera, but it would be for science. The magnet shouldn't really do much of anything to the standard game card, but I could test that too. Let me know if that's something you'd at least just be curious to see happen. And I guess see if we can destroy a game key card with a more standard magnet, or if you got to go like super heavy duty and find one that most people probably don't have around their house. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed last week's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card, or maybe hear more about the Switch 2, some of our final thoughts as we head into launch. Actually, a fun little podcast with Wood from Beat 'em Ups and Scott the Woz over the weekend. I'll leave that video right below it. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.